Okay, what's up guys? I got a question about noise on the Otone 40. So I'm not experiencing any issues with noise. I guess some people have talked about hiss, but I want to just make a very short video about the amp. So it's on right now and I don't hear any noise, and this is the volume that I typically play at. It is at about 9 o'clock, the volume of the amp. There it is quiet. There's no noise. That's louder than I play the amp. I have it turned up louder than I typically play the amp, because someone said there's people who complain about noise. Now, my favorite amplifier, the only amp I've ever kept for longer than 4 or 5 years, is the Roland JC40. And that amp is much noisier than this, but I don't think that's a noisy amp. I think the issue comes from like a lot of people who buy these amps don't have any experience with playing live. Now, when I play live, I have this amp up to about here, and there is a little bit of noise there, but that noise is coming from the electrical interference. So I've got this hooked into, like, just one of these off the shelf extension power deals, and that's not going to give you the most isolated power. It's just like your pedal board. Like if you're using a one spot or something like that, you're going to pick up noise throughout the chain. That's why for my pedal board, I have a Chox setup. It's got isolated power for each outlet, and I don't get those noise problems. When you're at home and you're just plugged into your home outlets, you're going to get some noise, but like this is the volume I normally play with at home. No noise. There's no noise that you can hear perceivably. And the other issue is, I think a lot of you guys are hooking up to these gain pedals, because like in my first review video of the Otone 40, I had my Orange Terror stamp hooked up to this. And the thing is, that's a 12AX7 tube preamp, and that was creating all of the noise that you heard. But that noise is something you're always going to hear. And this is just a problem with inexperienced guitarists. You're always going to get a little bit of noise, especially when you're playing at home. Like, that's why the noise gate exists, right? Like, if you're trying, a lot of people nowadays are especially playing higher gain music. If you're playing anything with high gain, you have to have a noise gate on. It's not a problem of the amp. As a matter of fact, every amp, that's why you have a sound check when you play live, right? Like when I play a live show, unless it's a crappy one like the last one that I played where they just have you set up without sound checking, which we didn't care because we got a decent pay for that gig, but it sucks to play without a sound check. It's the worst. And when you play in some clubs, they don't want to let you sound check because they don't want to disrupt the music, and they don't want to pay a sound person to be there early so they can have you sound check before the place actually opens up. But that's something that you deal with. You have a sound check so you can figure out, like, because every place is different, right? Like every place's power system's different. Some places you show up, it's noisy as hell no matter what you do. Some places you show up and everything is grounded perfectly. There's no noise. Their whole setup is shielded. That's something that you deal with. But a lot of like you inexperienced guys, it's like people who think that like if your guitar buzzes at all, that there's an issue. But like there's always going to be a little bit of buzz, but you can't hear it when you play it through the amp, and that's what matters. So this is an issue of inexperience. And now I got the Colorbox V2 here, and I'm gonna crank it up and get it a little fuzzy, and I'll turn the volume up just a little bit. So I'm at about 10 o'clock. I can hear a very tiny bit of noise, which it's probably not being picked up by the phone. But if that bothers you, then you're not playing guitar. Let's just be real. Because when I'm playing guitar, if I can hear what you probably can't hear right here, and I'm focused on that, that means I'm not playing guitar. And it's a problem with people with distractions. It's just like with the other thing that I do, skateboarding. Like, people make all sorts of excuses why they can't do a trick. Dude, like, just ride your freaking skateboard, play your freaking guitar. This amp is awesome. So is this. And there you go. That's all the little bit of noise that you get from the amp. So the guys that are complaining that the O-Tone 40 is noisy or something, either you got a bad model, you're playing the amp ridiculously loud. Like what I just played is way too loud for apartment volume, and I barely hear any hiss. It's a problem with the electrical in your home, or you're stacking gain pedals, which I'm sure a ton of you are, because this is an amp from Orange, and Orange is usually played by people who play higher gain, and you don't have any experience setting up your guitar amp. This is not a noisy amp. I have no problems with the amp. I've gigged the amp several times by now. I play it every day. My jazz chorus has taken a back seat to it. All my other setups like this more have taken a back seat to it. Yeah, I think people are crazy and also just inexperienced. And we live in an age where inexperienced people get to share their opinions just as much as people who know what they're looking at and how to set things up. So I just wanted to dispel a little bit of that, because I had a comment from a very thoughtful commenter who was asking about this and not like casting any type of negative light on the amp or anything. He just wanted to know. So I figured I'd make a video for people like that commenter and like other people. No, this amp isn't noisy. In fact, like the more tube engine and like all the tube stuff you guys have heard me use, way louder than that. Like I can almost guarantee that most of you guys have never probably played like the most popular amps out there, the Fender Blues Junior and the Fender Hot Rod Deluxe, because those are like exponentially noisier than this thing is. Pretty much every amp that I've ever had, like the Orange tube amp that I used to have, the Rocker 15, was noisier than that. Tube amps are always noisier because like tubes are an antiquated form of circuitry, and they're just not as it's not as dialed in of a schematic as something like this solid state FET amp is. This thing's awesome. You can gig it. It's loud. Like you heard how loud that was. It's louder than I play in the apartment. And there's no noise. And the noise you heard in the other video was because I had a tube preamp set up to it, which if you use tubes, you're gonna get noise. So get used to it. Get a noise gate. Start learning about like different stages of gain and how to deal with them. Cause there's a lot of things that people, it's like the tuners on a guitar. Like certain guitars, people will change the tuners out, especially with like Les Pauls. I did it way back in the day, like more than 10 years ago. I had a Les Paul Jr. and I thought that a Gibson Les Paul Jr. and I thought it wasn't in tune because of the tuners. Put some Grovers on it, 18:1 ratio Grovers, had the same issue. Come to find out, there's all these different things. There's the bridge, there's the nut slots and how they're drilled, there's the angle you have set up at the neck. There's all these little things that you can try to get it better. You can lubricate the nut, all that stuff. So like, just do a little bit of digging if you're having some hiss and noise from your amp, because usually it's not the amp. It's usually something in your chain, the cheap cables that you might be using. All that stuff introduces noise into your signal. Yeah, this video is already longer than I wanted it to be, but yeah, this amp is awesome. And if you're thinking about picking up one, go play it in the store first to make sure that the one you buy isn't a dud. I didn't do that. I ordered mine offline because I have no problem sending something back if it's a dud. But that rarely happens. So yeah, that's all I got today.